Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your subject, Sustainable Development and Governance. And I'm still your professor, Mr. Kirp Anthony A. Ramos. And for this session, we'll be talking about the global governance, its concepts, actors, and institutions. Okay, so as we start this discussion, of course, no, it's imperative for us to know first yung ating learning objectives. So by the end of this session, it is expected that you will be able to explain what is meant by global governance. You must also be able to identify key actors and institutions, describe roles of major global organizations, and analyze power, legitimacy, and accountability. So okay, so since magsisimula tayo, I have a question here to ponder. So I'll be asking each and every one of you na nanonood as of the moment, which global issue do you think affects the Philippines the most? So I'll be looking forward sa mga sagot ninyo, no, and kindly relate it, of course, no, sa current standing ng Philippines as of the moment, ano. So it's also good kung sakali man na makapagbigay kayo ng mga justification. So I'll be looking forward doon po sa kanilang mga sagot at saka question to ponder natin sa comment section below. Okay. So also, syempre no, bakit ko ba tinatanong kanina kung ano nga ba yung nakaka-apektong issue pagdating sa Pilipinas, ano? It's simply because ayun ano, kagaya na sinabi natin, we will be defining first yung tinatawag po na global governance. So ano nga po ba yung global governance? So your global governance refers to the collective management of global issue without a central authority. Meaning, hindi ito kagaya ng mga nasa anime, kagaya halimbawa sa may One Piece no na meron silang world government kasi sa tunay na buhay, definitely wala naman talagang ano no, wala naman talagang world government or isang nangangasiwa sa lahat. Ibig sabihin, hindi mandatory yung kanila pong pagsunod. So, ano mo nangyayari? Siyempre, ang gagawin po nila is that they will be collectively ano po no managing yung mga global issues. Wala silang ano no, wala silang magagawa kung hindi magkasundo at mag-usap. So with this, it involves yung rules, institutions, and cooperation. So if you will notice, yung cooperation na binabanggit dito is yun nga yung pagtalima ng iba't ibang mga bansa in order for global governance na maging ano po no, na maging maayos at saka masunod. Okay? Also, since we're talking about yung ano no, yung pagiging global netong governance, it operates across borders. Ibig sabihin niyan, hindi lang sa iisang bansa effective itong ano no, itong binabanggit natin na mga kapamaraanan, rules, regulations, kung hindi nagtatranscend po siya ng mga boundaries. Also, it includes yung ano no, both state and non-state actors according to Vice and Wilkinson noong 2019. Kasi if you will notice people, if we will be ano po no, if we will be looking most especially sa panahon ngayon, hindi ba na nagkakaroon halimbawa ng crisis kapag dating halimbawa sa gasolina and even yung quote-unquote na ano no na sigalot doon po sa pagitan po ng US, Israel at saka ng Iran, hindi ba? So mapapansin natin that hindi lang naman estado ang involved dito. Even yung mga ano no, yung mga non-state actors. Ano itong mga non-state actors na ito? Pag-uusapan natin siya maya-maya. So in the Philippines, alam naman natin yan no, that we are participating in global governance sa pamamagitan ng ating pong mga climate agreements and trade negotiations. Kaya nga nagiging part tayo no ng mas malaking hakbangin para halimbawa sa pag ano no pag resolba ng iba't ibang mga sitwasyon na involve hindi lang ang Pilipinas kung hindi yung buong ano po no buong mundo. Bakit nga po ba nagmamatter ito in the very first place? So it has been said that it is essential because many problems are considered to be transnational. Mga example nito according to Health and Macro noong 2007, climate change, 'di ba? Even pandemic. We were tested already during the pandemic in which hindi lang Pilipinas ang nagkaroon ng problema pagdating po rito kung hindi buong mundo. So with this, definitely nagtatranscend, nagiging transnational yung ating pong problema. Ibig sabihin, it will require collective and shared responsibilities. Yung financial crisis and even trade systems are matters in which definitely mareresolba ito kung pag-uusapan ng iba't ibang mga bansa. So in the Philippines, during during the COVID-19, nag-rely tayo doon sa ano no sa global cooperation for vaccines. Yung COVAX ano po no initiative na tinatawag. Ayan. So, as we discuss itong global governance, syempre, titignan muna natin saan ito nagsimula. If you will notice, after World War II, nagkaroon ng mas malawak at mas matinding paghanda ang buong mundo para maiwasan ang panibago na namang World War. So with this, nagkaroon tayo ng creation ng international institutions, hindi ba? So kagaya limbawa ng United Nations na mamaya mapag-uusapan natin na siyang magiging dahilan kung bakit magkakaroon po tayo ng kasunduan at mga kapamaraanan kung paano natin mareresolba yung mga bagay-bagay. Also, it's already an era supposedly of an expansion of cooperation kasi hindi na nila tinitignan yung war as something na magiging kapaki-pakinabang hindi gaya before. And of course, yung inclusion po natin ng ating po mga non-state actors, kagaya nga ng binabanggit po natin kanina, no, yung institutions o di naman kaya yung mga organizations. Okay. So, sino po yung mga key actors in global governance? So, yung mga key actors, definitely, isa na dyan, yung Estado. Ito yung pinakahalatang halata, hindi ba? Kahit naman nung mga sinauna pang efforts to establish global governance, Estado naman talaga ang nagiging kapamaraanan. Pero, kagaya ng binabanggit kanina, pagkatapos ng World War II, na involved na rito yung international organizations, your NGOs, private sector, and even your civil society. Alright, so as we discuss this, ulitin lang din natin, ano, ito yung mga major institutions. So yung United Nations, World Bank, IMF, WTO, and your regional organizations. So let's discuss this one by one. So unahin natin yung sa mga United Nations kasi ito yung pinakamalaki kung hindi, ano no, kung hindi natin isasaalang-alang pa yung mga nauna, no. Ito yung pinakamalaki na organization pagdating po sa ating pong mga estado. So ano pong function nito? So according to United Nations in 2023, they are actually involved in peace and security. They are tasked na mamuno, syempre, para magkasundo yung ating pong mga bansa at maiwasan yung sigalot. Also, they are being tasked to uphold yung human rights so that sa iba't ibang mga bansa na-uphold din yung karapatan ng bawat citizens po nila. Also, they are being tapped for the establishment of development. Kaya nga tayo mayroong mga sustainable development goals. Sila ang nag-formulate so that we will be able to have a framework na sa mga susunod na lesson natin, mapag-uusapan natin siya para mas maging maunlad ang buhay ng mga tao sa iba't ibang parte po ng mundo. And yung humanitarian aid kung sakali man na kailangan na magkaroon ng intervention or tulong po sa mga tao. So ayan, another institution ay yung tinatawag po natin na World Bank. So ang focus po ng World Bank is development and poverty reduction. So definitely, ang ginagawa rito ng World Bank is that they will be funding yung mga infrastructure projects so that makatulong ito sa iba't ibang mga kapamaraanan. Also, nagbibigay sila ng mga social programs para po sa mga tao para ma-uplift po yung kanila pong buhay. And yung economic reforms para mas maging maayos po yung sistema po ng ating ekonomiya na which later on it may translate no to another positive thing which is in development nga po ng human capacity. Okay? So another institution ay yung International Monetary Fund or the IMF, the role of which will be financial stability, yung crisis assistance na kung sakali mang kakailangan ng halimbawa ng tulong, lalong-lalo ng monetary, definitely makakahingi po sila rito or kukuha po sila ng tulong. And yung policy advice kung paano nga po ba nila mareresolba yung mga problemang kinakaharap po ng iba't ibang mga bansa. Okay. Another institution is yung World Trade Organization, also known as the WTO. So from the word itself, of course, no, ang kanyang focus is yung trade rules na kung saan ang kanila pong gustong mangyari is that maging malaya po yung kalakalan po natin. Okay? Also, dispute settlement kung sakali mang merong unfair trade o hindi naman kaya ay meron pong concern. Excuse me, pagdating po roon sa ating pong kalakalan. And yung trade monitoring to, of course, no, to make sure na tuloy-tuloy po yung pakikipagkalakala ng iba't ibang ng mga bansa at iba't ibang mga organization sa isa't isa. Okay? So, syempre, isa pa tong unique na institution na yung regional organizations. Alam naman natin, people, excuse me ulit, ayan ano. So, pag pinag-usapan natin yung regional organizations, alam naman natin that global governance may actually be too general. So ibig sabihin, baka merong mga parte ng mundo na hindi po naangkop halimbawa or iba yung sitwasyon nila sa nangyayari sa mas malaking picture. So with this, yung regional organizations natin will actually play a complementary role dito. So hindi niya po papalitan na complementary po siya ng ating pong international organization. So examples of which will be your ASEAN, your European Union, African Union. No? So with this, kaya nga binanggit siyang regional organizations kasi ang gusto natin mangyari is that there will be regional cooperation. So meron ding economic integration sa ilang mga pagkakataon kagaya limbawa sa may ASEAN and yung political stability ng region po natin. So kagaya po ng binanggit ko kanina, according din kay Acharya noong 2014, itong mga organizations na ito address yung issues that may be too specific for global institutions. Kasi malay nyo, iba naman pala ang sitwasyon ng Asia sa Europa, iba ang sitwasyon halimbawa ng Southeast Asia sa North America. So sa mga ganong kapamaraanan, mas magiging madali ang trabaho at mas magiging maayos po yung cooperation if meron po tayong complementary role. At yan po yung tatawag po natin na regional organizations. So in the lens of global governance, syempre, no, yung power na tinatawag natin shapes how decisions are being made doon po sa global governance, no? So commonly, this is influenced by your economic strength, political influence, and your institutional control. Kaya nga, kung mapapansin ninyo, kung sino ang may taglay na itong tatlong ito, definitely they will have the capacity to govern and even ano po, no, even to influence rather, no, yung mas tamang term yung influence, yung mga nangyayari po sa ating pong mundo. And with this, powerful countries often have greater influence over global policies and institutions. Kaya nga sasabi ko sa inyo kanina, they will be influencing it. They have a say. Kasi nga, sinong hindi matatakot kung meron ka netong tatlong pinag-uusapan po natin? That's according to Health and Macro noong 2007. Ano naman po yung legitimacy in terms of global governance? So, tinitignan po ito as a concept na kung saan yung mga global institutions na binabanggit po natin ay tinatanggap po ng iba't ibang mga bansa as fair and appropriate. So again, the institutions that we are referring to kanina ay masasabi nating legitimate if number one, they represent yung diverse interests. Number two, if they are operating transparently para ma-make sure talaga na okay, tama yung ginagawa po nila. And number three, they are promoting fairness and equity. So according to Kyohei noong 2011, legitimacy is crucial for ensuring that everyone and every institutions will be complying and cooperating. Okay, and of course, yung usapin po ng accountability. So, ano po ba yung accountability in the first place? Accountability means that actors are answerable for their actions. So, people always remember that once there is power exerted, accountability comes next. Okay? Ibig sabihin nun, kapag nag-exert ka ng kapangyarihan mo, ano man ang maging resulta nito, mananagot ka dapat. Ikaw ang sasagot, be it positive or negative. So yung mga mechanisms natin include yung transparency and reporting systems na okay, okay pa ito, tapos nire-report natin ano ba yung ginagawa. Second, yung oversight by member states para masabi talaga natin that we are still gearing towards the goal na ating pong in-establish and yung civil society monitoring na napakahalaga no lalong-lalo sa pamamahala kasi ang mga civil society ito yung po yung third sphere hindi po ba ang ating pong eksena rito is that yung ating pong mga civil society definitely sila magsasabi ginagawa pa ba nila yung kanila pong trabaho o hindi, okay? So according to Grant and Kyohi noong 2005, strong accountability, definitely they will improve yung ano po, no, yung trust and effectiveness. Hindi magtitiwala ang tao kung alam lang nila, mga kapatid, na pag may ginawang mali sa kanila, yung institution ay walang mangyayari. Okay? Sige po. Pero syempre, kahit nasabihin na natin na napakagandang concept nitong global governance, this still faces yung mga several challenges. And this include yung unequal power distribution, weak enforcement mechanisms na kahit na meron tayong rules, hindi naman talaga na-implement ng maayos. Institutional fragmentation and the conflicts between national interests and global goals. Kasi kung mapapansin ninyo, yung global goals natin, may actually be different doon po sa interest po ng iba't ibang mga bansa. At hindi natin pwede madiktahan yon simply because, ulitin lang ni Sir, meron pong ano, no, meron pong sovereignty yung iba't iba pong mga bansa. So, since they have sovereignty, depende sa kanila kung ano po yung gusto po nilang gawin. Okay? And these challenges highlight yung need po natin for reforms and stronger cooperation kung gusto talaga natin maging successful in establishing yung global governance nga po na tinatawag. Okay? So to summarize what we've learned so far is that global governance is of course is a multi-actor and multi-level system. Yung mga key institutions na meron tayo rito ay yung United Nations, World Bank, IMF, WTO, and your regional bodies. Yung issues of power, legitimacy, and accountability will definitely ano po no shape yung outcomes po ng ginagawa po nating global governance, and yung effective governance po will require cooperation, transparency, and inclusivity so that mas maging maayos po ito at maging kapakipakinabang po hindi lang po sa mga bansa kung hindi sa mga tao po nito. Okay? So these are my references. And that's it for our discussion about global governance, yung concept, yung actor and institutions. But if you have some questions or clarifications, please do comment your question or inquiry dito po sa ating pong comment box, and I'll do my best para ma-replyan po ito isa-isa. And ayun, so thank you very much everyone. I hope that you will be liking and sharing this video. This has been a Sir Crypt, and this has been also our topic, the global governance concepts, actors, and institutions. I'll be looking forward on for you no or kayo no bilang aking manonood sa ating pong future discussions in terms of sustainable development and governance. Thank you everyone.